Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Naduhu wa asta'inuhu wa astadihi wa astaghfiruhu wa umminu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. As-salahu bil huda wa dinil haq liyudhhiruhu ala din kullihi wa la karihal mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent Him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. This way of life, known as Islam, will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd, fa'inna astikal hadith kitabullah, wa awtaqa alura kalimatu taqwa, wa khayrul milali milatu Ibrahim, wa khayrul sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah, وأحسن القصاص هذا القرآن وخير الأمور أوزموها وشير الأمور محدثاتها وأحسن الهدي هدي الأنبياء وأشرف الموت قتل الشهداء وأما دلالة بعد الهدى وخير الأعمال ما نفع وخير الهادي ما اتباع وشير أما الكلب. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the most truthful of discourses is Kitabullah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best of the communities is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. Best acts are those that yield benefits. Best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah yahmuru bil-adli wal-ihsani wa ita'i dhil-qurba wa yanha anil-fashai wal-munkari wal-baghi Ya'iddakum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan willeth to guide, He opens their breasts to Islam. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutuna illa wa antum muslimun. O you who believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam. Wa'tasimu bihablillahi jami'an وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ, and hold fast all together by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourselves, and remember with gratitude Allah's favor on you. كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You are the best peoples evolved for mankind, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمدين النبي الأمة وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. إنا فتحنا لك فتحا مبين. Truly or verily we have granted thee a manifest victory. This is from the Surah Fath, which means victory, opening. The whole thing, which means a victory, or you've been challenged and you overcome, and this is a fact. They have Fath Day in Pakistan. That's the day that Islam came and opened up India. You know, and it's a day they celebrate in the Indo-Pakistani subcontinent. And so this is coming from the surah called Victory. And this is a great period in our history. This is a great transition period in the history of Islam. It is related to the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah. Treaty of Hudaybiyyah was in the sixth year of Hijrah. This was a time when the Prophet ﷺ had a vision. He had a vision of going to the sacred mosque with hair cut short and performing the rituals of Hajj or Umrah. This is what he saw in a vision. Now, there was no time, the vision was not time specific. So he says, well, this is a beautiful vision. How about anybody want to go to Mecca with me? And 1,400 people said, sure, we'll go. He said, now we're going to leave, we're going on the mission of peace. So leave, most of you can take a little knife, a little dagger or something, but no serious military weapons. So they set out, and on the way, they got, the word got out that, the people are going to try to come to Mecca, and we're going to put a stop to that. So they sent out delegation after delegation, and then later on they sent out Khalid ibn Walid with a military contingent to harass the people, to try to provoke them. Because see, during this period, you can go backwards and forward, and military fighting is prohibited during that period, right? Even during Jahiliyyah. So finally, they said, okay, let's have some dialogue about this. So they had a dialogue. I think Shuhail was about. So finally they said, well, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make a treaty. And the treaty is going to state something like, you can't come to, although you got your animals, sacrificial animals, they're already on the edge of the Haram's area. And so they put on their Ihram garb, and they, they're ready to go to make pilgrims or Umrah. So while they're negotiating, at one of the different times, they have different people going back and forth. And in one period, Uthman is sent. And there's a rumor that Uthman has been martyred. It didn't happen, but this is what they thought. So now This is before the treaty period. At this stage, they said, okay. Prophet ﷺ gathered the people under a tree. And he said, we didn't come for no trouble. We came on a mission of peace. But if this is true about our brother, I know y'all taking your shahada, you've done all that, but I'm taking Bayatul Ridwan. Bayah is a transaction. It's also a commitment. It says, I'm taking Bayah, and this Bayah is to fight to the last man. They all took Bayah. Right? But they found out, well, he wasn't martyred. So now the negotiation goes into Deep Space Nine. They really discuss it. At the time, they said, well, okay, any of you guys come over to us, they can stay. Any of our people go over to you, they come back, you know. Prophet said, fine. But you're free to make negotiations with any of the people, you know, this dawah, whatever y'all want to do, all that's easy going. On the point of people coming over from their side to our side, and we have to send them back. It was a brother abdul-alim. He broke away from his captors and he come to the Muslims. They didn't already sign the treaty. First of all, the people is mad about the treaty. Because the treaty says, Muhammad Rasulullah. They say, oh, no. We thought you was a prophet from God. We'd have to get with you. You sign your same name, Muhammad Abdullah. Muhammad ibn Abdullah. That's who you are. And now, so Ali's the scribe. Prophet ﷺ tell him, okay, write that. He wouldn't write it. Now, the Sahaba do not go against what the prophets say. They don't say, oh no. You remember, when the companions in a real bad way, they said, we're not going to do you like the Yahud said. You and your brother go and fight. We say we hear and we obey. We right here with, that's the way the Sahaba was. But now the Prophet is telling him, okay, Ali, right, Muhammad. He didn't move. He says, where is it that my name is supposed to go? And he write Muhammad Rasulullah. So he scratched it out himself. He said, now put what I told you there. Finally he did it. But the Muslims, they wasn't that happy. Oh my goodness, they was upset about that. And the beautiful thing about this treaty was that this treaty was in the 6th year of Hijrah. By the 8th year of Hijrah, we come to the conquest of Mecca. Within 2 years, more people, probably 5 times many people came to Islam. Letters to delegations, people coming. Now, see, the treaty means something. It means that this is not a rebel band of people. We have made a treaty with them. They are a official governing body, right? And so they had to, the Quraysh didn't know what they was doing. They thought they was getting away with something. They said, now you can come, you can't come to Mecca this year, but you can come next year. All the believers were silent. Within 2 years, more people that came to Islam by 8th year Hijrah, which was the conquest of Mecca. Now, the historians and many of the Sahaba say, they say, you think the conquest of Mecca was the victory, don't you? They say, yeah. So no, the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah was the victory. Some of the great Sahaba said, because Umar, on the way back, now this surah is coming at that time, when they're on the way back, and the people are discouraged. Oh man, he had to sign the treaty, Muhammad Abdullah. We giving our lives because he's Muhammad Rasulullah, right? So, within 2 years, the most powerful community in that region is the Islamic community. So it was a gigantic victory. It was a prelude to all the victories to come. During that period, Khaybar fell. Khaybar, Yahud. You ever see the Palestinians? They make fun of the Jews. They talk about Khaybar. Khaybar was big Jewish, big Zionist holdout. So they got to acting funny, so the Muslims had to go put them right. So this is a big deal in Zionist Jewish history about Khaybar. For the Muslims, after that, during that 2-year period, Khaybar fell. Many other areas fell, and not only that, it set the stage for even after the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the conquest of Byzantium and Persia. Why? Because this set the stage. And the Quran verifies that. We'll probably pass through a few ayats to give the idea that this is the turning point. This is the transition period. In every big movement, there's a period like that. Believe it or not, we are smack dab in that period for us during our time, or one of the stages, one of the big stages is right this minute, right today. We'll get into that later. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna fatna laka fathan mubin. Verily, we have granted thee a manifest victory. Clean, clear victory. That Allah may forgive thee thy faults of the past and those to follow. Fulfill his favor to thee and guide thee onto the straight way. We're not going to, there's a lot of tafsir about forgiving in the past and in the future, and did the Prophet make mistakes or sins? We remember the hadith when he got up at night, he was with Aisha radiallahu anha, and he prayed, his feet were swelling, and his tears running down his face and clothing, right? And she said, why do you do this when Allah has forgiven you anything that might have happened in the past and anything might happen in the future? What did he say? Shouldn't I be a grateful servant? You see? So we're going to pass up on the tafsir on that. And that Allah may help thee with a mighty help. وَيَنْصُرْكَ اللَّهُ نَصْرًا الْغَرِي let's see, mighty help, Azizan. Yeah, a mighty help. This whole process was a mighty help. Now it goes on to say, and he set down tranquility, as-sakina, into the hearts of the believers, that they might add faith to their faith, and for to Allah belong the forces of the heavens and the earth, and Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. There's a word in the Arabic, zadahum. It means increase them. So Allah sends down, they kind of upset and nervous, so Allah sends down as-sakina. As-Sakinah is higher than just a simple peace and what have you. As-Sakinah is a special peace and tranquility from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now remember, Abu Bakr Siddiq, when they're in the cave, what did Allah send down? As-Sakinah, right? On Abu Bakr. On the second of the two. You know the greatest nickname or kunya for Abu Bakr was not Siddiq when he confirmed the Isra and Miraj, right? It was the second of the two. The second of the two. He was the second of the two in the cave. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is first, the Hijrah, and Abu Bakr is the second. That was his highest. He had many nicknames, but that was top of the line. Sent the Sakinah to the hearts of the believers, that they may add faith to their faith, for to Allah belong the forces of the heavens and earth. When you come upon something, we're as Muslims now, hopefully we face all challenges from an Islamic perspective. Therefore, we already have faith. When you challenge the adversarial position, right, and you are not dead, you are alive, right, your faith has increased. When you face a challenge, a lot of our Muslims now, we went to a big show out there last week, it don't seem like their faith is increasing. Because when they face a challenge, they break out and run. Right? So when you break out and run, your faith ain't going to get no stronger. They got this latest old paper by this clown. What now? If you are afraid of this fool, and you're a bigger fool as he is. A big old red-faced clown. Right? Oh, what are we going to do now? Face the challenge properly with what God gave you. The Quran, the Sunnah, right? The historical process. What has this ever happened before, right? Then add your own Negro or local experience. Who is this clown? He's a big old red-faced cracker. Have you faced him before? Yes. Down in Dixie, in the boss's house here, you've seen him every day all your life. Is it anything new? Absolutely not. If the immigrant is afraid, that's his business. But when we face this glorified sissy, it increases your faith. Yes, it do. So always face the challenge. Action cures fear. And for you to face the challenge, you got to be kind of a little already on the right road, a little strong, a little bit here and there. When you face the challenge, you're going to come out better. That's why the word zadahum, it means to add to. It's in many places, it means to increase. So this increases your faith. This is what this ayah means. That Allah sent down tranquility, as-Sakinah, on the believers, and their position added faith on top of their faith. This is what Allah said. Verily those who plight their fealty or bayah to thee do no less than give their bayah, their fealty to Allah. The hand of Allah is over their hands. Then anyone who violates his oath does so to the harm of his own soul. And anyone who fulfills what he has covenanted with Allah, Allah will soon grant him a great reward. Again, this is about the bayah. Now, we're talking about different hands here. the hands of the believers, right? And then it says Allah's hand is over the hand. That means Allah's force of it. Do not think of a big cartoon, gigantic hand about 2 miles wide over the hand. That's not the hand of Allah. The Yadullah is Allah's power, Allah's might, Allah's protection is over the believers. Not no big giant hand like a physical hand. No. They ain't gonna creep back into no Jahiliyyah. Okay. Allah's good pleasure was on the believers when they swore their bay'ah under the tree. He knew what was in their hearts, and he sent down tranquility to them, and he rewarded them with a speedy victory. Fathan Qariban. That means Qarib, actually not a speedy victory, but a close victory. Qarib, you know, in East Africa, the Swahili is half Arabic, you know. So if you walking up to a door or something, to the yard, they'll say, Karibu, Karibu, Kariban, you know, like come on in, come closer. Remember the old, in the 60s we had that great chant, Uhuru, Uhuru, right? Freedom and liberation. In Arabic is Hurriyah. And remember all the black nationalists, we don't like no Islam, we want Uhuru. I said, fine. They used to greet us with that Uhuru instead of Salam. We didn't say nothing, the dummies didn't know what they were saying. They were speaking Arabic all the time, right? Uhuru, Uhuru, right back to you. Hurriyat, right? Remember Tahrir Square? Tahrir, Hurriyat, all that? Anyway. So, in many games will they acquire, besides, and Allah is exalted and power, full of wisdom. See, this is Allah explaining to them that do not be downcast. When the Prophet ﷺ said, we're going to slaughter the animals before we go back, they wouldn't move. So he went back, he was talking to one of his wives, and she said, you go and slaughter, and they will follow. And they did. This is how downcast and dejected they was. But on the way back, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this surah to let them know, man, y'all have got a big victory, a great victory, a mighty victory, a speedy victory, a near victory. And that Ridwan, that Bayatul Ridwan, the bay'ah under the tree, that tree became so popular that people was going there, you know, little Jahiliyyah still around, and praying, almost praying at the tree. They might have been praying to the tree. So Umar, when he was the caliph, he had it cut down. He said, y'all ain't gonna mess nothing up on my watch. Praying in no tree. Yes, it's a great tree, the Ridwan, but we ain't gonna have y'all, you know what I mean, get you some sticks and stones like you had before. Well, maybe an idol or two, right? So Umar said, no, he had it cut down. In many games will they acquire, besides in Allah's exalted in power and wisdom. So remember, this was a transition period, 6-year hijrah, 8-year hijrah, conquest of Mecca. 10 years hijrah, Prophet ﷺ passed, and Islam is all over Arabia. 20-year hijrah, Islam is all over the regional world at that time. Within 20 years after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. So many of the gains they would see right there in their time. But the gains continued so long, right? It reminds us of when they, at the Kandak, when they dig in the ditch, and all the Arabs are going to come out and finish off the community, right? Oh no. They dig in a ditch, big rock in the way, speed up the story. They call the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he hits the rock, a little spark flew out, he hit it again. On the third time he hit it, the spark flew out and the big giant rock broke up, and he said, I saw in that spark the fall of Rome and Persia. We always remembered in the old days that we're going to see the fall of the Soviet Union and the United States of America. One shoe dropped 15, 20 years ago, isn't that right? The Soviet Union, so much so that one of them have became a strategic ally. And old Sam is getting ready to go. All right. Well, technically he's gone. He just, you know, cruising along now. You know, off the fumes. The tank is empty. But the little fumes still around. Allah has promised many gains that you shall acquire, and He has given you these beforehand, and He has restrained the hands of men from you, that it may be a sign to the believers, that He may guide you to the straight path. And other gains there are which are not within your power. A lot of other gains are going to come, and it's going to be clear that it is not within your power to develop the environmental circumstances, right, that you didn't have nothing to do with. But you're going to get the benefit of it. But you know it wasn't your work, it wasn't your effort, it wasn't none of that that produced it. Okay. Allah sent down His tranquility to His messenger and to the believers 3 times already in the same surah, As-Sabiqun. Allah then sent down فَأَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ عَلَى رَسُولُهُ وَعَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And He sent down His tranquility to His messenger and to the believers, and made them stick close to the command of self-restraint, because they didn't want to follow nothing. They was mad. And Allah sent down this surah to clarify the whole thing, to tell them where they are and where they're getting ready to go, and also where they've been. A lot of this, Allah had already hooked you up. That's last surah from the past. And a lot of good stuff is happening now. There's a lot of stuff coming your way from this root that you won't have nothing to do with. It's beyond your power to produce it. Right? You got to see what the surah is talking about. In the beginning, this is indeed a manifest victory. Never count your state and condition by the criteria of this system. Never consider a victory by the standard which they consider a victory. Do not consider success as a success based on what they say. You'll be fighting by their standards. You'll be voting in their system. This is a problem with all the, you should have seen them a week or so ago. All the big groups, all the fat cats, you've seen most of their faces, and some extra secret snitches was there too. Yes, they was. See, they forget that we've been around. Some of those people wouldn't nobody know them. But we was here in the late 70s and the early 80s, and we know who they are. And they had them there because they know that we know who they are, and they want to send us a message that we got this whole thing blocked off, homeboy. Y'all ain't going nowhere. All that gangster talk y'all talking, we got this. That was a message. We got the Muslims locked up and locked down. And ain't nothing going to happen. That was the whole idea. That's the only reason they invited us. We stayed back from California just to see what are they going to present to us. And that's what they presented. And we saw it, but we see it entirely different. We'll talk about that in a minute. Truly did Allah fulfill the vision for his messenger. You shall enter the sacred mosque, if Allah wills, with mind secure, head shaved, hair cut short, and without fear. For he knew what you know not. And he granted besides a speedy victory. This one is speedy victory. Near victory. The next ayat is close to the one we Huwa alladhi arsala rasulahu bil huda wa din al haq liyadhhirahu ala din kullihi. This is a change. Wa kafa billahi shahida. This other ayats very close to this, except they try to blow out their light, the light of Allah, but then, you know, arsala bil huda wa din al haq liyadhhirahu ala din kullihi wallahu karihal mushrikeen. That Allah sent Muhammad with din al haq, the religion, the way of truth, and it will prevail over all other ways of life, whether they like it or not. That's what that says. Now this yudhirahu is a victory, but this victory exposes everybody for who they are. In those days, it exposes the Quraysh, exposes the fallacies in their belief system, it exposes their power. In our time, it exposes the shallow system known as Zionist Americanism, and that it says clearly that we should love each other, we should support each other, as it says in the next ayat. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Muhammadun Rasulullah. Walladina ma'ahu ashadda'u ala kafari ruhama'u bainahum. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, and those who are with him, ashadidu, are strong against the enemies of Allah, and kind with each other. What have we experienced, dear believers? The Muslims are as kind to these Europeans as they can get. It's unbelievable. I know you think I'm lying. If you went to some of the meetings with us over the last 25 or 30 years, just here, you would know. They are never kind, no matter what we offer. We'll clean up, we'll wash the windows, we'll do everything. We just want to help the movement. Y'all can give all the chit-chats and talks and take all the newsreels and all the, you know, fancy stuff. Over at the place right there in Virginia, during Ramadan, they had the old congressman came. The Syrian brother that was moderating the program, he was so awed by this European that he was stumbling over when he would mention things, whether it was Allah or the Prophet, he was so in awe of this. Now this cracker, now this European, he had told them in the last meeting who he was. They wouldn't listen. He told them the truth. He said, well, if I can remember, he said, well, when I was a little boy, my parents put me in a room. And they was watching me, and on that room, in that room they put some money, they put a Bible, right, and they put some whiskey. And they thought, well, if he takes the whiskey, he's going to become an alcoholic. If he takes the Bible, he's going to become a preacher. If he takes the money, he's going to become a businessman. You know what that cracker told him right out there at Al-Hijra? He said, I took the Bible, put it under one arm, took the whiskey, right, and the money, and I became a politician. He's telling them, you can't be any clearer than that. I'm a politician. If you want me to say something, I'm going to say that to you. Oh, Don, lying down. I'm going to make America great. I'm going to do that. Don can't do that. But the dumb Americans, after the 925,000th election, and everybody tell the same lie. You go back to 1952, we won't change, right? When Kennedy come in, we won't change, right? When dear Obama come in, what did they want? Change. So every other cycle, they won't change. And they still vote. And the Muslims, back to the ayat, the believers, let me pick it up here. Muhammad is a messenger of Allah, and those who are with him, Muhammadun Rasulullah, alladhina ma'ahu, those who are with him, right, are strong against unbelief, but compassionate with each other. I mean, we are not dying for the lack of friendship, but why can't the Muslims be a little nice to us? Forget about our record, which I'll go over and then I'll wrap it up. That's the way the Muslims should be. Trusting in Allah, kind to each other. I want to mention a few things in closing. We're in a very serious time, right this very minute. And it's not frustrating, but, and it's going to sound a little arrogant until I finish saying what I'm saying. Nobody listens to us, right? Tell the truth. Nobody pay no attention, except the government, of course. The government and all the governmental bodies, they pay full attention. But we have tried to take the Quran, Hadith, and history, general history, and then our personal history, and blend it together and try to advise our people here. 20-something years ago, 22, 25 years ago, the big shots had articles, positions. Will it be confrontation or cooperation? Does anybody remember those days? Confrontation, that's right. Confrontation or cooperation. AMC, CARE was in on just getting started. That would be the policy. What policy will we have for dealing with it? Will it be confrontation or cooperation? We told them, you ain't going to have no say about this. They didn't blew up, this one they just blew up the World Trade Center #1. They got the anti-terrorism bill. Man, they got the Patriot Act. They got everything they got now, except now it's just knocked down and nailed down a little better, right? Off the first World Trade Center. Don't nobody ask about Busi Adas, the Jewish woman that rented the apartment to the people who were supposed to have something to do with it. They don't think about a supposed dumb Arab coming and kicking the door for his, what is it when you put down, not a reward, but when you deposit on the truck that supposed to went down there and blew it up, right? His guy is supposed to have been a part of blowing up the World Trade Center in '93. And he's coming back. It's supposed to be a rider truck, or you all who knows. And they got the engine number, and he's back at the office. I want my deposit back. You know, they tell him that. You know, in a few years, not a few years, we talked a lot about phony stuff and dealing with the government. Remember I was telling you I was reading from some of the casework of the case I had back in the 70s, and it said that when I came off the plane from Mexico, which I did with my wife, that they looked in her purse and found a gun, which they did. People always travel with guns in those days, especially going to Mexico. We're going for a vacation. And remember, in the transcript is saying, did you you took them to a room? I said, I took one to one room, one to the other. Did you pat the man down? Did they pat me down? He said, I don't remember. Then he said, check your record. He says, no, I didn't pat him down. I patted him down way after we... Now, can you imagine a police? They had found a gun in your companion's purse. Are they going to pat you down? Yes or no? But they said, you know, you could say anything about a nigga in those days. The reason I got assaulted on a federal officer, when they took me in the room, they pulled out sacks of dope, and I started fighting and got out of there. They given me a case. The first case I ever got in 1967. It's a federal officer, a state narcotics officer, and the local vice squad, it's called. I think it was Ted Haig. They came up and knocked on my door and just come on in the apartment and start searching. I said, you know, didn't they have something a while back called search and seizure or something? He said, well, we just found this marijuana in your mailbox, right there. I said, you found some marijuana in my mailbox? I said, right. Sure, I was selling weed, but I didn't keep it in no mailbox in the front of my house. But they said that. That's how I got my first case. Now they used that as probable cause to set up the next thing, which was to try to recruit me in on the team. They said that. We're black. This is the 60s. You can say anything. That ain't nothing. At the case in LA I was just talking to you about, they said that there was some dope around. Then we took them and booked them. That's me and my wife, which I got tons of runners. Why would I have my wife with dope? You don't have your wife with dope. Everybody know that. Then they said, 6 hours later, they went back to the room. You remember that? I was reading from the transcript? And what did they say? We found some more narcotics. 6 hours later, we had already booked. And It was wrapped and it had a receipt inside the dope, and the dope was inside of a bag from the Monte Carlo Hotel in Masjid or something. That's just like the Arabs shooting all the people in France, and they leave their cell phone on the seat and their doggone ID card. Okay. When this hate Arabs, you can put anything, right? There ain't nobody said, but nobody do that, would they? We all know the thing about robbing and stuff like that. What's the first thing you do? You strip down everything. Any clothes, you don't wear even your regular clothes. Even if you gotta go buy some new stuff, you ain't gonna wear no suit with Quick Johnny and the label, you know, come from the tailor down. Are you gonna wear your suit with a label with your name in it? Absolutely not. Or the tailor's name in it? Absolutely not. Right? You're gonna be wearing gloves for fingerprints. And if the heat get on, you're not going to take your wallet out with family pictures and everything and stick your ID. Right? They said that stuff about us in the 60s and the 70s. I'm taking them crackers back to court. All of that stuff they said. It's on the transcript. It sounded great then, but you laughing now. What do you think the people are going to do now? And they done already wrote that in report and said it in court. A judge at preliminary hearing, any judge would throw most of that out at preliminary hearing. You mean you went back, they was already in jail, you went back, and what did you say? Well, the dope. Which it wasn't a lot of dope. If I'm a big dope dealer, a few ounces like they're talking about is enough to give you a case, but it sure ain't what would we be dealing with, and it ain't even what you deal. But it'll give you a case. What I'm trying to tell you, dear believers, we're in a new time now, and I'm going to move toward a close. All of this experience that we just told you about have given us a historical perspective on America. That's why everything that has happened during your time here, and see if I'm lying, has been explained to the people and they refuse to pay any attention. Right? So the U.S., big bad U.S., we going over there and we kicked behind in Afghanistan. We said, you're going to get a good butt whooping in Afghanistan. But it wasn't quick enough for them. So what did they do? They run straight over to Iraq. Right? We told them the same thing. It's not the other time. It's a different time, homeboy. Y'all going to get a good whooping. Now, they killed a lot of people, but they got a thorough butt whooping, right, in Iraq. Yes, they did. Humiliated the great, tough United States. They didn't stop there. We told the Muslims about Tahrir Square. We said, look, y'all can remember in the lectures here, we said there will, right, be no Arab Spring. Does anybody remember that? It ain't gonna happen. Well, we got paperwork right here. We just clear. It will be no Arab Spring. Why? Because of the environmental circumstances surrounding it. And we told the Ikhwanis personally, because they came over here, remember, hobnobbing at the White House with old, it wasn't George, it was one of them, whoever, it might have been a Negro. We're not going to cause any trouble. Can we get your seal of approval on the election? Da, 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 da. The Ikhwan hijacked the situation in Tahrir Square, right? And they took power. Terrible mistake. In the earlier years, you remember all our books and literature, how to gain power in Islam, because we wanted power because to establish Islam and to get rid of these dictators. But there comes a time when you have to know that that is not the right thing to do. The Ikhwan, the Isnas, Ikhlas, and the Muslims here, they don't have any idea about any of these concepts because they do not challenge their enemy. So they don't get the chance we do. We challenge them all the time. So whatever little faith we have, remember at the beginning of the surah, Allah adds to that faith. All right. Now, I move toward a close by going over something. It was from, it's on the grassy knoll. Up here we got Israeli influence, of course. And we got, that was 4/16/2011. Right around that time. They're supposed to got rid of Mubarak on February 11th. Remember that? Y'all don't know what February 11th is, okay? Think about it sometime. What February 11th is. What is the 1st of February up to the 11th of February? If anybody pick it up, just let me know after. Anyway. What we say, this is on the grassy knoll, in April 2011. This is a protracted struggle. It says, step 1, destabilization. There'll be destabilization in Tahrir Square. There'll be destabilization. Step 2, temporary transformation. They get elected, even in Tunisia. Rashid Ghanouchi and all those people. So you got to remember, all of these people were in exile. Rashid Ghanouchi helped do a lot of translating. He was in UK, he was in France. You know what I mean? All of these are our friends from the late 70s and the early 80s and 90s because they were kicked out of their homeland. So all the returnees to Iraq and all of those places are friends of ours. We all spoke on them. We got flyers with all their names. We are involved. But in Tunisia, they got woke real quick and they pulled back from power. Why is it bad to take power at that time? Number one, the problems in our countries are so well rooted that you can't fix them quickly. And people in a revolutionary feeling, they want instant fix. That ain't gonna work. You can't do it. Number two, the Zionists and the Americans are against you. Number three, you are hijacking an election when all the people of Egypt are participating in it. And it's not fair for you to hijack an election, right? And put in all the people from Ikhwan. Just like it's not fair for the Ikhwanis here in the U.S. to try to take over a masjid, whether it's in Gaithersburg, anywhere in America, because the Ikhwan is in numbers, right? And the Pakistani community that started it themselves. And you come in with your homeboys, it's not fair to do that. But they had lost sight of Imam Hassan al-Banna's goals. Usra, and the teachings of the brotherhood. This crew here have deviated far, far away from the original love, commitment, and compassion of Imam Hassan al-Banna. If you look at these clowns, they're not clowns, Care and all of them, they're technically Ikhwanis. Literally all the big groups here in America are Ikhwani types, Jum'ah Islami, all of them. But they are Americanized. And they believe the way to get ahead in America is to vote. Black people tell them, well, we thought integration, they had, remember right over there in Baltimore last time? What was it? Integration and environmental, blah, blah, blah. We got to listen to African Americans more. Don't they always say that? And we tell them, well, integration is death, homeboy. No, if we integrate, we can help Islamicize. I said black people said that after they couldn't get the rebellion correctly, right? They said, what? We're going to work within the system. 2 months, Sister Ooga Booga and Brother Mumbo Jumbo with their dashikis on, they're trying to lock up every nigga they can get their hands on. Y'all remember that? Still with their black dashikis on. Black power! Yeah. Hey man, give me a break. We said, spare me, brother. Just let me get out of town before you come running with the system, working within the system. 3 days ago, if you would have saw the Muslims on RT, I got lucky and I could recognize Muslim al-Sadiq and a few more. The other people were so draped in flags, I was trying to move the flag. I know that guy. Every now and then, when they waving that flag, they go, I said, I know him. I knew them all the big shots. But you had to get lucky to get that flag, you had to catch the flag going by so you could see who you was looking at. Now, here's step 3. Step 4, regional vision. Step 5, victory. Now, I want to wrap it up by telling you what has happened. They have went through all of these stages. 3 of them. Destabilization. Temporary transformation. Step 3 is where we are now. Organizing, unity of opposition, semi-consolidation. Number 4 will be regional vision. Why is this so important? Right now, thanks to the Zionists and Americans, they done produced the road to victory. What do you mean? The Zionists always tried to find a way to destroy a powerful army. You know, after they get us to fight each other, remember, they came right back. When they got Iran and Iraq to fight, they came right back and broke Saddam's army. Why? Because he could use it against the Israelis. Right? They invaded him and defuncted all of his weapons. Right? In 91. They do that all the time. They made a clear mistake this time. Look what they got right now. The Iraqi army is moving on Mosul right now, today, right? What kind of army is it? It is an Iraqi army with training and command and control that can move huge amount of troops, and those troops have had to fight and recapture Iraq, right? And the enemies, the Saudis and the Qataris and these other people have gave those enemies tons of modern weapons, right? But now you have an Iraq that is a liberator Iraq with what? With a command and control structure, a well-trained, well-equipped army in the hundreds of thousands, right? You have Syria. They're moving on Aleppo. They done knocked over about 60 or 70% of the eastern part, right? What do you have in Syria? Now, I don't want to hear Syria's bad and all that. We already know who Syria is. But right now, what they was trying to do to Syria is incorrect. Therefore, Syria is moving on to Aleppo. Big, well-trained army now. Not to mention the Peshmergas. You have Iran, Lebanon, or Hezbollah. In the beginning of the struggle in Afghanistan, Iran sent troops right there to study how Americans fought. And you know what happened in Iraq, right? They so close, it was just tons of Pasdaran training and working how to fight Americans. Remember all the news? They got these Iranian revolutionary guards there. We got to bomb Iran till they get rid of. Well, now they have the Iranian army, which is the up-to-date, self-supplying, integrated command and control system, and it is a modern army already. Self-made modern army. You don't have to ask how Iranians fight. Look how they fought with Iraq, and they didn't hardly have no weapons. They just people going out and achieving martyrdom. What do we have now? We have several modern armies. Before, they were all the big systems was all on the other side. These are all on one side. The strategic alliance. Iraq, right? Iran, Syria. And for the fifth generation weapons, the Soviet Union. That includes Hezbollah. When you look in the area, you see they just chose a new government where? In Yemen. The Saudis cannot destroy it. The people are too poor. When you're fighting against people that don't have nothing anyway, you bomb and bomb and bomb, like they did Afghanistan. And the people still there. They ain't got nothing no way. Their lives are so dirt poor that you can't do nothing with them, and they already ain't got nothing. Right? Dear believers, we are right now. Now, we told these Europeans that's why on the 28th of April 2011, they came out with that flyer, remember? Imam Jamil, Imam Lukman, and Imam Musa. You know why that was? That was because of this. Now let me explain to you what this means. This means the Department of Strategic Studies, the big white folks, all of their think tanks can't touch this. They can't touch it. You ain't heard none of this from nobody, especially way before it happened. Now here it is, a half a decade later, everything has followed that script. Think about it. Everything here didn't follow that script. Do you know how bad and mad the Europeans get? Here's why. They think niggas do not have the mental capacity to comprehend global situations and definitely the forecast. You've seen the forecast here. If you've been here, you ain't heard nothing but forecast. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. It's a weekly thing, right? And all you got to do is wait by the door with your calendar. You don't know what day is going to happen. Hasn't it always came out the way? Whether we talk to CARE, whether we talk to AMC, we have told all of those people that we're smarter than everybody. Absolutely not. It's that when we face a challenge, we stand up to the challenge and Allah increase you, right, in faith. That's why in the surah, in the ayat, it said that Allah added faith to your faith. Zadahum, increased, right? So it don't make no difference what happened. We're going to face our challenges because they're always good. I didn't want to leave the country years ago, but it was good for me. It was good. I was used to living here in America, and as soon as I left America, I had to recount. I couldn't count nothing. Everything was not in pounds, it was in kilos. It wasn't in miles, it was meters. Baseball wasn't the most popular game in the world. When I was in Algeria, when I first left, they had the World Cup or something, and I realized that that's the most popular game in the world. Football, you know, soccer, whatever they call it, right? I didn't know that, neither did none of us here. We didn't know. Back in the 70s, did you know anybody ran around kicking a ball like that? I didn't even know who Pele was. Y'all know who Pele was. That boy was bad. Football, Brazil. I'm trying to tell you, we didn't like the government just lying on us and doing anything they want ever since we've been here, up to today. But now, we ask for fitna. We ask for it. You know why? Because you're going to get bigger and badder and smarter. That's the way it goes. Well, Allah increase me in faith. Here you come. Here's some fitna for you. Deal with that. That's what it's there for. Right? They are so, y'all remember all that stuff I used to talk about? Proximity fuses and parallel attractions and stuff. Y'all thought I was making that stuff up. Right? A proximity fuse, that's a regular bomb. When you shoot it at a target, it's zzz, and it don't blow up till it gets close to it. Proximity. Parallelism in thinking is we cruise right along with the cracker, just like, oh, yes, we're going along with the cracker. And then, when we sprang it on him, he's shocked and surprised. Right? Because we traveling right along with him, and he think we got this our nigga here. We traveling right along with him, and it's a surprise. Y'all remember the movie Driving Miss Daisy? And the Negro drove Miss Daisy all around? Well, we call it the U.S. government driving As-Sabiqun. They drive us all around. We just tell them which way to go. Yes? This morning, I ain't going to tell you what it's all about. Yesterday, I dropped a little stuff on them because they caught up what we're going to do here. So I just tell one of the students, just as another, the students tell them, when I go see the people today, guess what? They sprang on me, just what? We done told a tattletale, and simple as that. We do it all the time. And then the brother, the big shot, says, where, this is something. I said, no. I said, I always tell the people, I'm telling him that what you just did, I told a white man to tell you what to do, and you just did it. So it don't make no difference why you did it. I just told the people yesterday, and somebody even told you by this morning, and you just did what I told them, and y'all do it all the time. And I tell you to stop doing it if you don't stop. It reminds me of in the 70s, I gathered a whole circle of white boys down in Columbia. And I sat in a circle in the middle of, these are all white boys. And I said, I'm tired of y'all acting like the police. I don't care if you're the police, but it's making me upset that y'all act like the police. You know, did nobody say, we ain't the police? They all was the police. They was the police. They was guiding me along, did. Just like they do Negroes here. And I knew it. But I was telling them, look, I know y'all the police and I do all this business we doing, but you got to stop acting like it. Probably they didn't think they were acting like the police. Right? But you get so sharp that you can tell police, or you're going to get killed. Tell the truth. You think you're going to be down in Colombia and you're the only nigga there and doing big money and plenty of cocaine, you getting lucky all the time? You can't, hey, oh no. You got to have some sense. All of that comes over, and I'll close with this, into the movement. The people don't believe they can challenge the system because they won't do it. They accept crumbs. They want crummy positions. The brothers in their meetings, it was, if you were not used to it, it would break your heart. Right? Oh, Mr. Trump, what are you going to do? Fix your own stuff. Forget about him. If he going to come get you, make him come get you. Say, meet me at 4 o'clock in Town Square. Right? So everybody see it. That's where all the snitches are with us. We flushed their behind out. Now everybody knows who they are. Yesterday in Oakland, they are flushed out. You can defeat. You are better prepared to defeat the system. The system is broken and it's weak, and it continues because you don't punch it. That's all. It's a done deal. It ain't like when you was a kid, all that money floating around. You'd walk down to a welfare office and say, give me some money. They'd get, hey, yeah, you look like you need money. You can't do that now, right? I need disability. You look, how old are you? I'm 21, 22. You need disability? Sure. Then you just, yeah, whatever. Just, where you sign? Sign right here. You can't do that now, can you? You can't do nothing now. America is finished. And I close with this. Dear believers, Allah sent us here to straighten this out, to help the whole world during this revival. The black world, the white world, the human world. That's why we're here. We just have to accept our mission and stop running away from it. And I will close with this. What most people have is what's called a Jonah complex. And I'll tell you the biblical version. This is in psychology. Read it up in Maslow. A Jonah complex is, y'all remember Yunus, right, Jonah? Allah told him, you go over there to Iraq, to Nineveh, and you take care of business. And Jonah is not disobedient, like it's not a prophet saying, but Jonah knew the people over there. Like he said, them niggas, hey man, maybe I can go over this way or something. So he goes to Spain instead. Of course, his life is kind of messed up till he gets back on the road. Jonah is down in the ship with everybody else. The ship, storm, tossing and turning, and everybody is going every which way. They're throwing all the cargo overboard to lighten the ship. Isn't that right? It's a biblical version. Down in the bottom of the ship, guess what? It's Jonah. And the captain walked down the stairs and looked at Jonah and said, what meanest thou, O sleeper? Everybody else is panicked. You know them old tossed upside down. Jonah's down there dead asleep. Ain't nothing happening with Jonah. And the captain said, "What's wrong with you, man? What meanest thou, O sleeper? The whole world is being tossed and turned upside down, and you are down here asleep." That's me and you. Allah has sent us on a mission, and we are trying to avoid the mission. That's what it adds up to. All the Arabs here and many around the world, why they don't listen to us? Maybe it's because we niggas. And maybe they just think they better. And just because you're right 99% of the time and they ain't never right don't mean nothing. It means they got a Jonah complex. Right? Allah done sent them on a great mission and they ain't listening. Right? But you and I should not follow that part of Jonah's mission. We should see the trial and the turmoil and the Black Lives Matter and niggas don't matter. Do they? Of course not. Oh. It's bad to shoot niggas. Is that so? Well, what state is that? Where is that at? How many people do you see with a life without possibility to parole police for shooting Negroes? What they do yesterday, was that yesterday? Carolina? Bam, bam, bam. Ah, the man, well, the camera looks like he was running away, but actually he threatened me. This nigga here, boy, was running and threatening the man. "I'm gonna bust you upside the head." Police, he on the halfway down the block. Threatening the man. They can say that, just like they could say, we have a federal, a state, and a local vice squad just walked up on your doorstep and found some marijuana in your mailbox. Federal, state, and local, all together. They could say that then, right? They could say, niggas are a threat. Let the little boy, the big boy, Michael Brown, lay on the street for 6 hours. 2 hours before they even cover him up. Isn't that right? They're going to keep doing that till you and I stand up. I'm not talking about a violent stand up, but you got to hold them people accountable. Americans are not going to do good for goodness sake, are they? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? You got to put them in line. Now, and I'm really closing. We have psychologically slapped this American system upside the head for year in and year out and stuck our foot in his behind, time after time. And he knows it. And you know it too, because you didn't hear it. You think they don't know what we're saying? That ain't what the police tell me. Okay. The Prophet, peace be upon him, had a vision. They was going to go in to Mecca in security, hair cut short. A lot of them told you throughout the Quran, and the Prophet and the Hadith about the great victories just ahead of us. Fathan Mubin, clear, manifest victory. That's for us. The only thing is, we got to do the work to do it. And the real last thing, okay, if you want to live a day-to-day life and go to work and pay bills and die, that's good. At least you didn't die in the poorhouse or in the junkyard nowhere. If you think that's fun, if you think that's exciting, you got the wrong idea. You want to live an exciting life? Challenge the system. You don't have to go to no King's Dominion or nothing, no more on them rides. Right? Challenge the system. You're not going to have any more fun If you ain't a little scared, you ain't gonna have, how you gonna have fun? You get on the ride because it makes you a little scared. Then when you get off, oh, good God Almighty, right? You're gonna get here grown Negroes like you and I. You go to King's Dominion? Yeah. What ride did you go on? I went on the merry-go-round. Me and you. Tell the truth, the merry-go-round. I went to work, I went home, I watched TV, I saw some football, and I died. Right? Tell the truth. And I died. A nigga died. Like all the other people. It took the earth, it's 4.5 billion years old. Right? Uncountable dinosaurs and all kind of junk that popped up on the earth, and as they say, it's got another 4.5 billion to go. And you have 70 or 80 years here. And if you go to work and go home and pay bills, in 30 years, you won't have left not one track. You will not have left any history behind. Who? Johnny Quick. Brother Mumbo Jumbo. I don't know him. Right? And when you get on the day of judgment, yeah, I was there. Well, what did you do? Did you read my book? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But what did you do about it? Well, I was praying, I was fasting, and a little stealing here and there. Other than that, you know, trying to work on my nos, trying to, you know, get to paradise. Well, dear friend, you know, my book does say that the foot of the believer will not touch the fire. But we got a little temporary, we're going to keep you in the grave for a little while longer, maybe another 400-500 billion years. Remember, time is something to me and you. Then we're going to bring you back, you know, see what's happening. You know the grave, if you ain't dead right, bones is touching each other, all that stuff, right? That's in the grave. But if you go into heaven, I will close, honest to goodness. If you done did halfway right, the grave is different. You live and got a room or veranda, and you look out, you can smell paradise. You can hear the beauty of paradise. You're just not in there yet. Now, if you go into hell, or gotta wait for a while, the smoke, all them people hollering, just think you in the grave, and all them people in the fire is hollering. Remember, their skin is getting burnt, and it's coming right back home. Do you know how loud they holler? And you in the grave with your bones rattling back and forth, trying to get comfortable. They hollering, the smoke blowing all in your grave and stuff. That's what it says now. You can make up what you want. On the other hand, if you face this old European, even if you're big a fool as we are, right? That's going to wipe away most of the 923,000 sins we do per day. Me and you know what I mean? So we need something to give us an extra boost. And that's facing the challenge. Not for ourselves, but for humanity. Humanity needs you and I. Look what they got. You don't think humanity needs help? Tell the truth. Do you? Do you think humanity needs help? And do you know anybody out there that's going to help? Right? Absolutely not. So it's on me and you. For Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful, keep from us what is prohibited. With that grace, make us free from want of other besides it. Ameen.